looking at the reporting structure and the authority the chief compliance officers have. And I have a few statistics I'm going to put out here. This year we found that first, number one, 57% of the respondents say that the CCO reports directly to the board or the CEO or some, at the high level of the company. And second, 59% say the CCO job is a standalone position, full-time, all by yourself. You are not wearing some other hat as well. Now, we've been doing this survey for 5 years. We are seeing these two numbers clearly marching upward year after year, not necessarily skyrocketing, but there is a direction to it. When we take them together here, what do you see about the authority and independence and ability to be in the inner circle for a compliance officer? What does it look like to you?
Sure. I think if you're in this profession, I think these are great statistics. I think we've been saying for years that we want to have a seat at the table, and now it's evidence that clearly our compliance professionals are gaining that seat. Mm-hmm. And I think that's representative of just the evolution of the profession. Yep. And I think it's going to allow them to have a greater degree of influence on the strategic direction of their organizations, so they can integrate ethics and compliance into those conversations, so you're part of the actual beginning conversation instead of being brought in on the back end. Mm-hmm. So I really see it as an opportunity for the compliance professions and the chief compliance officers to have a greater degree of influence in their own organizations. So I think it's great news.
So now, the second question, somewhat along similar lines, instead of looking from the compliance officer up, we asked about the compliance officer down and compliance officers in subsidiary businesses, whether that is a geographic region or some other market or however you might carve it out. We found that a lot of companies don't actually have subsidiary compliance officers in their business operating units here and there around the world. And a significant number of those who do have smaller subsidiary level compliance officers, they don't actually have that much authority over who these people are, or sometimes those subsidiary unit compliance executives don't even report in to the enterprise level CCO. So I'm kind of wondering if we might have an independent chief compliance officer, but the compliance function as a whole, is it really as sturdy and robust further down? What do you think?
I think one of the challenges that we hear from our clients and we hear from compliance officers is the need to have a direct line of sight into the businesses. Mm-hmm. And I think that can be achieved by either having those subsidiary compliance officers, that direct reporting line, or an indirect reporting line. But if you do not have the direct reporting line, you're going to have to do something to gain that information, to have that two-way communication. Yeah. So I think it's really critical that the chief compliance officer and their team, so not just the compliance officer, have that conversation and be part of a trusted business advisor relationship, so that two-way communication is being driven either by direct reporting lines or by need, because the need is you want to have the oversight and the transfer of information so that you actually mitigate the risks for the overall organization. So I'm not as worried about whether or not they have the reporting structure, but in the absence of a formal reporting structure, what systems have they put in place so that they can mitigate those risks?
Okay.